So we're going to ask a few things that I actually going to term as misconceptions. What are the misconceptions that people have of inflammatory bowel disease and living with an ostomy? So Joe, I'm going to ask you first. What are the 3 misconceptions about living with IBD that you think are there right now?
Number 1 is that you can cure it. You can cure IBD with you just need
Pepto?
to eat. You just need to eat differently, or Pepto, or what have you. While some people do treat their disease by changing their diet, it helps them. It will never go away. You can't cure it. Also, I guess another misconception is that IBD is, I don't know, I can't think of anything bigger than that. The curing is the one that really eats at me, I guess.
Right. And so you've had surgery, you've done medications, you've had your ostomy. Some people might think you're cured, but are you?
No, you're not. And I still have active disease, and my disease, I had to make some changes after my ostomy surgery. After my ostomy surgery, I went back on Remicade. But that wasn't working, so I then had to switch to another drug, Entyvio, and that is working for me at the moment. But no, the ostomy is not a cure for the disease.
Right.
But it is another viable treatment, just like taking steroids, just like taking Remicade.
Yeah.
If I didn't have the ostomy, I would not be sitting here as healthy as I am right now. So.
Right. So it is a lifelong journey for you with Crohn's
Yeah.
disease. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us. Danielle, I'm going to ask you 3 things. What 3 things do you wish you knew before you had ostomy surgery that you didn't know?
So one is funny. I just wish that I would have known, like I wish I had a crystal ball that would show me what my life was going to be on the other side. Because we have so many people that reach out to us and be like, oh, I'm so afraid. I read all these horror stories and you read too much and whatnot. But to me, if I would have known what my life was going to change to, and that I could do everything that I could do back when I was 15, or even do more things now, I wish that I would have had my surgery far earlier. I suffered through 8 years after I was diagnosed, and it wreaked havoc on my body when I could have really helped myself earlier. But it's scary. It's very scary to have a 7-foot organ pulled through your butt like a magician's scarf, right? Nobody wants that, right? Am I right? I'm right. But I mean, honestly though, I really wish that I would have known what an amazing opportunity and how much it was going to change my life and really give me back my life. Another thing I wish I would have known are some of the things you have to deal with. It's similar with IBD though. Like fatigue, dehydration was a huge thing. I didn't quite understand that concept so much. And like I'm sitting here with my drink, I always have something to drink with me. Dehydration is huge, 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 even when you're really paying attention. So that was something I wish I would have known a lot more about. And I think another thing is just really making sure all of your medical professionals are on the same page. Because although like my GI and my colorectal surgeon really know what's going on, because I was younger when I had my disease and now I have a lot of other issues as well, just making sure that I really am repetitive with like dehydration issues and other things that may come up with other doctors don't realize is a problem. So just self-advocacy, I think, is a huge thing that I've learned. So yeah, I think those are my 3 I wish I would have known.
Great, thank you. Krista, you had shared as well that when you had your ostomy surgery, you went back to your surgeon, you had put a ton of weight back on, and you looked fabulous and you felt fabulous. And he said, you need to go tell your surgeon that. But having had ostomy surgery, I'm sure you face challenges still. Can you share with us maybe 3 challenges that you still today face?
Okay, yeah, for sure. I guess one of the biggest challenges, it does not so much right now, but when I came home from surgery, like the anxiety of changing the appliance and the ostomy itself, sometimes I still, I get anxious about it, but because I didn't actually have any home care come to the house after my surgery. They basically just sent me home with the supplies and said, okay, you're good to go. So it was very overwhelming. And another challenge or struggle maybe that I have today is, I guess, just to try to hide it, especially when it's full. That I sometimes get, self-conscious, try to hide it, especially where I work with kids. They're very touchy, very hands-on, and like to hug a lot. Actually, I had a student a couple of weeks ago. He asked me to give me a hug, and I said, of course you can give me a hug. And my bag was quite full because I can't leave my classroom unattended. So he gave me a hug, and he looked at me and he said, teacher, you're really squishy. So that was pretty funny, but and really those are the only things that I really struggle with. I think just I have a lot of friends who are nurses, so they were kind of able to prepare me mentally for the surgery, so I was quite confident going into it.
Wonderful. Do you have the rest of the panel to share any struggles that you're dealing with?
I think for me, something I wish I would have known when I went home from surgery is how loud it would be. I didn't even think like, okay, I have to toot somewhere and it's going to be right here, unmuffled for the whole world to hear. And it's not predictable, it's unexpected. And for me, I don't feel that it's coming on usually, so I'll just be talking, be like, I'm like, oh. And actually the first time that I went on Facebook and did a live video about my ostomy, I was like, because I do makeup and their faces are right here. And so I was talking, in the video, like, not sure how to approach that. Like, do I just wait until Bruce yells at them and then say, oh, it's okay, it's just my ostomy? Do I forewarn them and be like, you might hear some toots, but I'm really not farting like in your face. Like it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. And so for me, I just wish I would have asked a few more questions or known what to ask when I had my ostomy, because I was just so ready to feel better that I was, on one hand, really depressed and sad, like, okay, it's finally happening. And then on the other hand, I was like, oh, yes, it's finally happening.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I didn't ask enough questions and I didn't know what questions to ask. So for me, that was definitely something I wish I would have known.
I don't know if you guys caught as you were speaking. She said that Bruce. Yeah. Did you guys catch that? Do you know who Bruce is?
Bruce Wayne.
Yeah. Do you want to explain?
Bagman and Robin. I mean, I've always wanted, as a child growing up, when you have a name like Robin, I was really picked on and made fun of, and you always get the Christmas song, Robin laid an egg, all those things. And so for my whole life, I was always looking for like a pet whose face looked like a Bruce. Like I just wanted to have a Batman so bad. I don't know why. And so as soon as this happened, I was like, yes, I finally get my Bruce. And that's what my son calls him. That's all my friends know him as that. Like we treat him like another part of our gang, So it's like, oh, how's Bruce doing today? Oh, Bruce is good. How's Bruce doing today? Yeah. So it's just become very normal for us.
We had this discussion just previous to coming on today, and we do know that many people do name their stomas, and it becomes part of their life. Do you guys want to share any of your stories?
Yeah, I'm happy to share. Ready for this? So, as I was saying, my daughter was 3 when I had my surgery, and before, all she knew was mommy was sick. She didn't know that other mommies weren't sick. She just knew my mommy was very sick. So after my surgery, when I was able to go out and do stuff, it was amazing. She's very funny. And so I'm very independent, and I hated that I couldn't drive or go to the grocery store or any of that. So we go to the grocery store, and I'm like, yeah, we're doing this. And she's sitting in the little truck cart. She's got these big eyes, and she's like, this lady's like, oh, what's your name? She's like, my name's Lauren, and my mom has a bag of poop on her belly, really loud, super loud. I'm like, okay, this is advocacy. If she could do it, I can do it. And then another thing was, and this is great, so she named my stoma Stella. We actually have twins. We have twin ones. I don't know why or how, but it was Stella, so it became Stella. So she would talk to Stella. And she went to an at-home daycare, and so my husband was on pickup duty for the 8 weeks I couldn't drive, so I was super excited to get back and see all the kids. And her nanny person, and there was a new baby that had come into the group while I was having my surgery, so I haven't met the new mom yet. So she's like, "Oh, you're Lauren's mom." I was like, "I am." And she's like, "Congratulations." And I was like, "Thanks." And she's like, "Oh gosh, we've heard all about Stella. I can't wait to meet her." And like, I wasn't picking up on it. And I'm like, okay, it's right here, and she's like, I'm like, it's my small intestine, it sticks out of my belly, I'm pooping right now. And she's like, oh my God, like they thought Stella, because Lauren was saying my mom came home with Stella from the hospital. Therefore, Stella's a new baby, but they were very interested to see that. And I was like, well, Stella is kind of like a baby. She poops, she makes all kinds of these noises all day long. But it was so like, my kid is the one who's completely responsible for me being such an advocate and very open about it. So everyone meet Stella.
And I have just a couple of things going on with Robin, talking about just as she says, the toots. I like to play poker. I'm not a big poker player, but we have a casino in Columbus, and I like to go play a little low limit hold'em. And this was probably within a year and a half after my surgery, and I'm sitting there and I'm sitting next to the dealer, and it just goes off, but it wasn't loud enough to where everybody around the table could hear it, but he could hear it. He was a young guy. He didn't miss a beat. He was still dealing, and he's giving me this side eye. And he finishes dealing, and then he leans over to me and he's like, "Well, at least it didn't smell." And I leaned back over and I said, "That's okay, it's self-contained."
Right? And he's never been allowed at the casino ever again.
Last visit.
Oh, that's wonderful. And then again, there you are, seeing the humor in what it is. Yeah, that's wonderful.
My stoma is also named Stella. I don't know how I came up with the name. I think I just had a friend, she's like, "What about Stella the stoma?" And I was like, "That sounds great." So I went with that.
It's a great name.
Right? It is, yeah.
Good choice, lady.
And all my friends, like my coworkers, because I had my surgery during the school year last year. So all my coworkers, all my friends, my family, they all know Stella. They always ask, how are you? How's Stella? So it's just nice that, that community and being able to, normalize that.
Yeah, and it is. I love hearing your stories about how you've named it, because it has truly just become part of your life. It is part of you, but you've named it to give it its own recognition and how it's helped you manage through your inflammatory bowel disease. So those are wonderful stories. Thank you for sharing them.